Hey everyone, it's Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and on this episode we're going to be doing our, what are they, basically the 5-inch gun, so what are they, 150 millimeter I think, so we're going to be doing those guns, and we're also going to be putting together the cranes that would be used for moving the airplanes, the aircraft planes. So those are challenging. I will say the cranes are probably the biggest challenge of the entire model that I have seen so far. So they definitely take some time, and they definitely are a challenge even when you take your time with them. So I did the best that I possibly could with them, but it's a model, so you still run into problems here and there. You got to kind of work out and make it work. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, and let's get started. Okay, so I decided what I'm going to do is I will hold the ladders until we are painted, and I will paint them separately and then add them on. But I already went ahead and put our ring around the bottom of all of them but one. I know I mentioned in the last segment that there was 8. There's actually 6. I knew better. I wasn't thinking, but they do give you 2 additional because of how the sprue layout is on the Trumpeter kit, where they make multiples of basically the same piece. So that's kind of normal for their kits. But I wasn't thinking when I spoke earlier, but that's okay. So anyway, 2 of them have rangefinders, and then 4 of them do not, but that really doesn't have too much of an effect on what we're doing here. So cut out my strip here, and very similar to the large ones, I start at the back here. I just do a little dab of glue, and I set it on here. And I just give it a minute here to kind of set up. I could use adhesive promoter, but it just not that big of a deal. It only takes a minute for it to start to set. It was almost there. Stuck to my finger. Oh, gotta love it. Maybe I will have to use adhesive promoter. I haven't had to on the other pieces. I don't think so, though. Okay, so now I'm just putting a little around the edge here, and I can put a little bit thicker under the bottom there, and then we're just going to pull it around and let it sit a second, a couple seconds anyway. Okay, and same thing. All right, and then we'll finish up the rest of the ring, and then from here it'll be time to paint. So I will get these laid out onto my board. And what I've found has been working kind of well for these parts is mounting tape, because you can just put it down right on the board and they actually stick quite nice. There we go. Okay, so that's on. All right, so now, like I said, I'm going to grab my board here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get some mounting tape down and just plop these down on it to get them ready to paint. So let me work on that and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm gonna start the catapult. Another great example of the directions here. We have this circle in here that is not notated as to what it is. I'm guessing it's turned brass, so I'm gonna have to look for that. It does at least notate this rod that goes in here, but I'm gonna go ahead and start down here. So that is this long piece right here. So I'm just gonna cut this out and start the bending. And then it has pieces that attach onto it as well. So we'll get that here in a second. Okay, so this is kind of a longer piece, as you can see. And then it has these pieces that fold up and then fold down. So we're going to go ahead and fold this up how it needs to go. And then the same with the other side here. And this bends pretty easy, so no real need for a brass bender at all on this. Okay, so that is pretty much the length of it. Then we're going to take our tweezer here and just bend these over, it looks like. Kind of like that. Sorry, my phone just keeps going off in this video. Somebody's trying to get a hold of me. All right, so now we need pieces D2. So I'm gonna get them cut out a while, and I guess I'm gonna answer the phone. So I'm gonna pause it quick and I will be back. But these are D2 right here, so I'm gonna cut all them out. Okay, so yeah, this is basically all I'm doing with this. I know it's not anything earth-shattering, but this I do find works really well when it comes to painting stuff. It sticks well, and I don't know, I kind of like it better than blue tack, although I do use blue tack for certain things, but these seem to do well on the mounting tape. So I'm going to paint the dark gray first on the tops here, and then I'll come back and do the lighter gray, but I'm gonna have to let them sit overnight because this Mission Models paint, I will tell you, it looks really good, but it doesn't like to stick that well. So I don't know, I've been finding that if I give it a night to sit after I spray it, then I'm not having too many issues, but if I don't, it will tend to peel off with the tape. So I almost painted it the wrong color, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get these sprayed, and then I think we'll probably start the catapults next. So let me get that started, and I will be right back. Okay, so to paint, I went ahead and got it taped off on the tops of these, and then I just have it down on the mounting tape to paint the lighter gray. One of the things I kind of messed up, and I kind of showed it earlier in the video, but I got glue around here when I was putting those pieces of brass on. You'll never see it because it'll be right down onto the what do you call it? The thing that the gun fits into, but I don't know, it just kind of annoys me. And then I painted this. Now, what I found the best way to do this, basically just on cardboard with the mounting tape, and then I was able to fold it so I could get underneath, and basically sprayed it that way. So, yeah, that's pretty much it on that. So I'm gonna let these dry up, and then I'll untape them, and I have all my guns right here, so I gotta paint my blast bags on them a little bit more. They just need some touch up on them, but yeah, we're moving right along here, so I will be back. Okay, so I went ahead and got the barrels and blast bags on here. Our next step is going to be the ladders that go up the back and on the sides here. So the ones with the range finders, get them on the back side, and the ones that don't have the range finders, get them on the sides. So those are annoying, to say the least, because they are just very small ladders, and they're going to be quite time consuming. So I guess I'm going to just get started at it and start working towards completion with them. They are quite small, so, and then there's a step ladder type thing on the back here, so I'm going to get them on too, and yeah, we'll get them finished, we'll get the guns mounted, and then we'll pretty much wrap up this episode. So moving right along here. Okay, so since I'm waiting for these to dry, I'm going to go ahead and start the crane. I wasn't really planning on doing that this video, but I might as well go ahead and do it. So we build two of them, and they are mostly all on sheet K of the kit. So first up is just going to be basically cutting out all the parts right now, so that's what I'm going to do, and then we'll come back and assemble it. I gotta look how much KA goes onto here. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's pieces of KA that does, but I'm gonna at least get the kit stuff cut out first, and then I'll move into the KA part of it once I kind of know what's going on more with it. So there's quite a few pieces to this, actually. A little bit surprising how many go into this crane operation here. K2 and 3. So I'm hoping, I mean, everything else so far with the model has looked amazing when it's come together. So I'm hoping that this is another pretty amazing part of it. And what I really like about this model, and really this battleship in general, and I think it would really be almost any battleship that I build, just the amount of small systems within the ship, like each individual part and component of it, it's almost like a major assembly all in itself. And there's just so much to look at. I mean, like, you can just sit there and almost get lost in looking at the actual ship as you're building it, and it'll be even more cool when I'm displaying it and taking it out on the lake. I know, I mean, Titanic gets a ton of attention when I bring it out on the lake, and I think this one really is going to draw more attention in some ways just because of the factors of, I don't know, a battleship and what it looks like. I mean, like I said, just with so many different facets of things going on with it. Where Titanic, I mean, obviously a beautiful ship and all that, but really it's 4 funnels, 2 masts, and some lifeboats, and that's really what you see on the deck. There's just kind of like eye candy all over the place on it, so it should be pretty fun. Anyway, sorry, got onto a little tangent there, but I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting these all out, and then, like I said, look at the KA parts and figure out what happens on here. And this is going to take some filing, obviously, so I'll do all that off camera. I was going to build these both at the same time, but I think I'm going to build them separately just because of the amount of pieces, and I don't want to get something mixed up or lost or whatever. So yeah, one at a time is fine. Ooh, does that come off? Yeah, okay. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so I completed the first crane, and I will tell you this is probably the most challenging part of the entire model. I'm going to show how I put the other one together, but this is basically what it looks like finished. So I don't know how long it will take to actually show the next part, but we're gonna go through it and get her there. So I'm gonna get this one mounted onto the ship, just so I don't get it broken, and then we'll go ahead, I'll get the other parts cut out, basically get it assembled up to the point that this one was at when I left off, and then we will continue on with this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the first one, I assembled the whole entire thing, including the photo etch, and it all ends up being kit photo etch that you use, excuse me, by the way. But this time around, I'm not going to do that. So I put together the actual crane base, which is pretty basic. You just follow directions, nothing really hard there. Where it starts to get dicey and tricky is when we start putting these photo etch pieces on. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and paint this up gray, like it's supposed to be, and then I will paint the black for the photo etch for the lines, and then all of the pulleys, and then I'll show how they go on, and we'll do the assembly. So there is quite a few little steps to this. I mean, it has a lot going on with it for how small of a piece it actually is. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get these painted up, and then I'll come back and we'll start doing the photo etch. Like I said, I'm gonna paint that up before I come back also. So one other thing I'll point out, the long crane boom here is piece K29, and in the directions it doesn't look like that, so it took a minute to kind of figure that out. It shouldn't have been that hard to figure out, but I wasn't looking for something that looked like that because of what the picture looked like. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and paint it, and I will be back probably while it's drying. I'm gonna work on putting the ladder rungs on our 5-inch guns, or not 5-inch guns, but the what are they, 105 millimeter, I think they are. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this painted up, and I will be back. Okay, I know I'm kind of skipping back and forth here. So I got the crane, and it's pretty much dry, but I'm starting the rungs on these turrets as well. So this model does not come with a template to do your rungs. So what I'm going to do is follow where it's pre-molded, and I'm not drilling a hole, I'm just making kind of an indent so that I have a place for these rungs to kind of go in better. So the directions call for it to just basically get folded up. Hold on, I'll show kind of the illustration here. Like that. So basically you'd fold the rung The problem with said folding of rung, you're dealing with a piece that's that big. So to get it to actually sit in there, it's been a bit of a challenge, to say the least. So I tried eyeballing it. I tried doing it without any markings ahead of time. So now I'm going to give it a try like this and just see if this little indent will give me that added support that I basically need. Not support, but that added kind of grip that I kind of need into the hull, or not the hull, but the plastic, to keep these a little bit more secure. So I'm going to try 2 or 3 real quick. I mean, aside from putting these rungs on, which are going to be time consuming and boring, that's pretty much everything with the guns. Or not, yeah, the guns. So I'm going to continue on with the crane basically from here out on this video, but I just wanted to kind of address this because, like I said, most models have that template, which makes drilling 1,000 times easier. So unfortunately, this is just like an eyeballing nightmare. I mean, they're turning out okay, but I would prefer them to be basically exact. Now I dropped that one. Where the heck did he go? See, and this is the other issue with these. They're just so small and minute that, I mean, they provide quite a few extra, but just getting them on in general, just to hold them, is a bit of a challenge. So we'll recut a new one. And that one stayed on there. And you'll find that too, that it'll stick to your tools as you're going. I'm still going to do the bend because I think that does give it a little bit more support. And I'm going to dip it in a little bit of glue here. Yeah, that might be the ticket here. Okay. I'm feeling a little bit better with that, so I'm going to continue doing that, I do believe. Okay, that's level now. So I'm going to do one more and then I'll pause it and we'll get back on the cranes here after this. But I just figured I'd call this out. And I really don't mind these rungs, like they add a really nice detail to it, but without a template, they're really just not fun. Not that everything has to be fun with a model, but yeah, you want to be able to have some kind of good result. Yeah, unless I'm missing something with the directions, that there's actually a template on there, but I've looked at every single sheet of brass too, and I don't see anything that would resemble a template for these guns, so, and I don't see it mentioning it in the directions either. Where it really worries me is some of the bigger ones that I have on the superstructure you have to do, because I didn't do any of the ladder rungs yet. And I skipped one too here. But anyway, I'm going to work on these, and then I'll come back and we'll do our crane here. Okay, so I went ahead and put the crane, the two pieces in here, so they both just fit into two little holes that are here. Hopefully you can kind of see they just kind of go right inside there, and they are movable. And the movability becomes important because when you're trying to fit your brass into the pieces there, it would be a pretty severe challenge if that did not continue to move. So I painted up the gear pieces ahead of time here and clear coated them. So I'm going to get these cut out, and these basically go on the ends of the barrel pieces that would hold your line. They also go up by the pulley piece. So they are different sizes. So these are number 1, and the other one here is number 3s. So we're gonna need, you need multiple different ones, and I think there's 4 sheets altogether that come of the brass with the kit here. So we're gonna need all of those basically as we're going here. Those are number 2s right here. So I just want to keep these kind of separated so I don't run into any problems. The size difference is very small, but it is definitely there. So these are all, like I said, up here going to be number 1s. And then these are number 2s right in here. So keep those together. And then finally, I don't know if I'll need all of those, so I'm just gonna kind of hold them a minute and see how many I need, because it's been a few days since I put together the last set. So we need ones that go on the ends of this. So those are ones here, and we also need our line. So our line here is right here, and you want to try to cut just absolutely as close as you possibly can, because filing this is a real challenge. And the last one I did some filing, but I struggled with it like severely. So you do have an extra one, extra 2 actually, because having 4 sheets in case you mess up. But yeah, you just want to try to get it as close as you possibly can. And I think I used my nippers too when it came down to it to get it cleaned up, but hopefully I kind of learned my lesson on the first one, and this one turns out better. But we'll know. Yep, I'm actually pretty okay with that. So you just don't want to have your sprue points kind of showing here. So there's the first one, and I'm going to cut out the second one quick. The kit pieces come with this nice white cardboard, which is actually nice for cutting because it helps you see where your cut mark is going to be on the brass. And I'm always looking for something white to cut against, so these worked out nice. I also have used them for painting boards with the pieces, so they've come in handy. Not that white cardboard is all that exciting, but you know, these are the things that you think about and do when you're building. Okay, so I have a couple little spots there of sprue on this one. I'm gonna try to get it a little bit better with the nipper, but I'm not going to overly stress it just because it's really easy to cut. It's already painted, and what you will see will be negligible when it comes down to it. So yeah. All right, so how this has to work. This is your center. Then you have your barrel here, which would be like your line, goes on here. And then you're going to take your gear, and what I want to try to do here is make sure that's fully kind of seated. There's a little groove that you probably can't see because it's a very tiny groove for that to fit into. And then I'm going to take a little bit of glue and dab it right here on the end of that. I'm trying really hard not to get it on the actual line, because later being able to move that line comes in extremely handy. So basically like that, and my line is still movable, so I'm happy. So now we're going to do the same thing with the other side here. And I'm telling you, these cranes are probably the most challenging part of this model. Just to get everything to kind of line up copacetically and do what it's supposed to do. Okay. That's kind of sitting where I want it to. So I'm keeping the glue away from the line, as you can see. Trying to anyway. Okay, now these then go on to there's like a three pulley rung thing going on here. That's not what I wanted to have happen. I had a feeling that was going to happen. That's why I moved it how I did, just because I wanted to see. And you could even go inside a little bit, which is what I just did, but you just want to try to be careful not to bend the line. That's the biggest thing, because once you bend it, it's kind of a real booger to deal with from there. And I bent my first one, so I had to do a little bit of modification. I made it work, but I want to try to do this one on camera without bending it, so that would be special, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for just a second, and I'm going to start to build my 1-2 combo deal here. So you're going to take one, and we need to build several of these. You're going to take one, and you're going to put a 2 onto your 1. Then you're going to take another 1. Oh, that was a 3 I just did. Oh no, oh no. Well, doesn't matter. Yeah, it matters. Yeah. So our 3 is going to stay there. We're going to take a 2, which is this guy, and the 2 gets sandwiched in between the 1. And the 2 is almost identical size of the 1. and we need 3 of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other 2 quick off camera, just in interest of time for the video, and I'll be back. Okay, so I got all 4 of these together. Now what we have to do is 2 of them go together in the center here. They do not fit real well with the little nub that is in there, so I cut the nub out, and what I found on the last one was the easier way to do this was basically glue the 2 together on the outside before it goes in. So those 2 sandwiched together. And then we're going to take them and we're going to glue them here into the center of the crane. And as you can see, it's still a challenge to fit it. You have to really kind of work it in. And I gotta do a little bit of touch-up paint that I scratched here with the tweezers. So that doesn't really surprise me, just the fact that you have to give it a little bit of force to get it in there. But it's a fairly easy touch-up, so no big deal. Okay, so there we go. Now, on the first one, I tried to do all of this after I had it all together, and that made it a challenge in itself too, just because the fact that it was all basically together, duh. Now, one thing, it wants you to put this on first around that, but that also is pretty much an impossibility to do and fit that in. So what I did was cut that at the top there, bend it a little bit open for right now, get it through the crane here, and then you can glue it back together. Now, ooh, good. I just noticed that would have been upside down, so that would have been a problem. You want to get it about the angle that you're going to be at on the ship, which should be about right there, so it looks about natural hanging. And then just make sure you're kind of set in, and nobody will ever tell that you cut that up at the top there, because it's all black and it'll blend in as it's supposed to. Okay, there we go. Now, you make a smaller pulley in there also, and that rides inside of the lower part there. So just going to put a little bit of glue inside the pulley, or inside the line, and then you can drop your pulley into it, hopefully. And again, this might end up needing some touch-up. Even with the clear coat, it tends to scratch pretty easy. And I just pulled it off the top there, which kind of stinks because my finger's stuck on it. but that's okay because we can kind of rework this in a little bit better down here. And there's going to be a cover that goes over this anyhow for your hook, but it's still good to get it in there as much as it possibly can. Okay, now I will reset this on the upper pulley. This time I'll just use a little bit more glue too up there, because okay. There we go. And like I said, there's going to be a pulley or a hook that goes down on here, so that's okay. Now, our next part here, we have these two things that basically go into the these. So I think I just noticed a small problem, not a big problem, but I think I put this backwards. Yeah, I did. So I gotta flip that. There we go. Now these sit here on the top like that. Now the only problem is, it seems like it bent a little bit, and it doesn't want to quite mount in there anymore. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's going to be going that way. So that doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense here. Sorry, I'm just double checking directions. Okay, so I was in the right ones. I just had it angled wrong. So that one does go on the top. And then, no, I did have it angled right the first time around. So I was okay. It just felt weird. Sorry about that. So you have to get that back in there, and these are a bit challenging to get in. Not too bad though. Okay, so now our pulley piece that we put this together with sits into there. But it doesn't go in until those little arms that I was showing go on. So they go in to the center of this, and you can see they have a real little nub that goes into that drum there. If you don't drop it. And the problem that you run into with it is the fact that the barrel is smaller than this, so you need to have all three parts kind of go together in one unison piece. So that basically sits inside of here. And then the other one needs to go drop in as well. And it's gonna come off. So let me work on them off camera because I don't know how long it'll take me, and I'll be right back. Okay, so as I was doing this, I found how I think would be the best way to do this. Go ahead and glue those legs on ahead of time. Take your rope or cord, cable, whatever you want to call it, afterwards, and then bring it in, because then you already have your stability for the structure piece that will support this. And I don't know why I didn't see this earlier, and the directions don't exactly convey that in any way, shape, or form. But now I can simply drop this in where it's supposed to go here. Hopefully it's simple anyway. That little spot there, it just does not like to go in, and it'd be super simple if you didn't have these cables to contend with the whole way through, but unfortunately you do, because you have to have them on before you put this in. There we go. Almost. Got it. Okay. That is what I was looking for here. Now, the base of these is black, so I need to paint them black quick. So I'm going to do that, let that dry, glue that in, and I also am going to paint my spool black. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so next up there is this bracket here that goes on the top and kind of separates your cables. So what I found was the best way to do this is actually cut right there to separate it. I don't think my cut went through. Okay, yes it did. And then you're gonna slip this through the cable there. You gotta separate it just a little bit to make sure you get through. And you need the other one to do the same. I bent the cable just a little bit there, so you gotta be careful doing this. What am I sticking on here? Must be the cable. Okay, so we need the other one to go through And I got the wrong one through, I think, but that's okay because we have to see how this rides here. So it needs to go through the top two to do this properly-ish. So we got our first one through again. And now we need to just get our second one through. You gotta make sure they're going the right direction too. Okay, there we go. So now we pull that back down here, and that will get glued onto the barrel end there that we did earlier. And our first one slipped out, of course. But I think I can go ahead and glue it without too much issue here. Once you kind of get it set with where it needs to be, it will be okay to slip your cables through after it's on there. Now I just want to make sure my angle is somewhat decent, and that seems to be pretty good right there. So I'm going to use some accelerator just to get this to set quick. Okay. So now I need to straighten that cable back out. Better, not perfect yet. And we need to get it so that each one's on each side that it's supposed to be. Come on. This is what I'm saying. This is just a pain in the butt to work with. The cable doesn't want to pull either direction, and I didn't glue it. Okay, it's going. There we go. That just came off again down here. Okay. So now I gotta get this one back on this side so it slipped through the one cable. And now I got to get it back on that side of that. Okay, we're there. And then kind of pull it up taut. Okay. So we got that going on. So as you can see, these are kind of finicky. So now we take our cables and they get glued, well, the pulley up here gets glued around the cable. And you really want the cable to kind of ride in the pulley, ideally. Okay, got that one. And now we just got the other one to do. Now we're out of a little bit of touch-up paint on our black lines to do. Probably some of the pulleys as well. Okay. Okay, now you can see we have some waving going on through here. This is where it gets real fun, because I got to try to work the waves out, and to do that I'm basically going to pull on the end here, and I'm going to kind of shrink it down around the cylinder to kind of get it taut. So I'm going to play with this off camera because this took me about a half hour the last time. The other factor is that needs to be glued up to attach to that. So let me start playing with this, and then I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, so in a nutshell, that is pretty much done. So there's our crane, and yep, the lines are not 100% perfect, but these are a challenge. So real quick, I'm just going to kind of show the ship, and this is the other crane already installed, and pretty happy with it. And then you can see our guns here, and they look pretty good. So they are on, they do move still, but yeah, pretty happy with where we're at. So thank you very much for tuning in. Please consider giving a like and subscribe. And obviously this stuff's not all glued down yet, but that's okay. I just saw it there in the video, so whatever. But thank you very much, and we'll see you next time here on LC Model Shipbuilding.